How's it going, guys? What I wanted to do in this video is just a quick cleaning of the Sig Sauer P226. This is the Mark 25, the Navy edition. I have done a couple of videos using this gun if you guys are interested in it. The first thing that we want to do when cleaning any firearm is to ensure that it is unloaded. I have carried this gun and occasionally, and I also have recently had it to the range. It's not extremely dirty, but it is at the point that I'm going to go ahead and clean it. I'm not going to be carrying it for a while, so I just wanted to give it a good cleaning just because these things are expensive, as you all know, if you're into firearms, okay? Again, make sure that you're unloaded. That's the first step. You can see that there's nothing in the magazine. We're going to lock the action back and inspect that chamber, and you can see there is nothing in the chamber as well. Taking the SIGs down is a very simple process. It's simply, once you have the slide lock back, you just flip down the takedown lever just like that, rotate it 90 degrees, grip the slide, release the slide lock, and then just pull the slide completely off of the frame just like that. Very simple process. If you are familiar with any semi-autos, you will know just how easy it is. It's very similar to pretty much any other kind out there. The Mark 25, of course, is just like, you know, the Sig 226 Mark 25. The guide rod spring comes out just like so. I always like to make a note of the orientation of the spring. That's just me, kind of one of my little pet peeves or things like that. You can see the indicator here, the paint, just a little bit different on this. And I'd mentioned before, this gun is not very dirty, but I do want to give it just a little bit of a cleaning since I'm not going to be carrying it or shooting it for a bit. So once we have it field stripped, as you can see, just like that, it's very simple. What I like to do is simply take a little bit of rim oil. Now, if a gun has a lot of buildup on it, I will use just a pure solvent, but no more than this gun has been fired. Something like this, a rim oil, ballast oil, something like that. It works perfect. It's a cleaner and lubricator. First thing I'll do is I'll take the barrel, take a little bit of this, and just spray right down that barrel just to set it aside, let it soak. I'm also going to spray a little bit down the frame rails, just like that. I don't necessarily want to spray any up here around where the firing pin is, but we're just going to give that just a couple of minutes to soak. I'm going to do the same with the frame. Just a quick spritz down there, just like that. Set that aside. I like to use these brushes like this. You can get these just, you know, very cheap. You can get them on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description to where you can pick some up from Amazon. You can get them at most of your gun shops, big box stores, things like that. You do not want to use a steel bristled brush when cleaning a firearm. It will destroy the finish. This is basically a stiff bristled toothbrush. All right, that is not a metal. You can get brass brushes, that sort of thing, that work fine, but these, I really like the way these work. They're not too hard on the finishes of your firearms. So where I had sprayed inside the slide, I'm simply going to take that brush and I'm just going to brush some of that solvent up towards the back of that. Again, I do not want to get any around where that firing pin is. Just want to give that a good scrubbing on both sides. Make sure that it is clean, you know, any kind of buildup or anything like that. You want to make sure that you get the face of that chamber, and especially underneath that ejector. All right, that's where you can get a lot of buildup. See, this, we have that smaller tip on this. I can really get in there, and any kind of buildup I can clean right out. You don't have to be a, you know, you don't have to white glove them every time when you clean them. Occasionally I will do basically a white glove cleaning on my guns. Not every time that I clean them, but occasionally I will. And just one more time up through here. Very simple, very straightforward. Now I want to do the same with the frame. Now I can put a little more on the frame, just like that. Take the brush, scrub underneath that rail, just to where I get any kind of buildup out. You don't want to have a lot of buildup on those. Both sides, just like so. Something else that I will do also, you can get swabs, but I just use just regular Q-tips. And I will take a Q-tip and then call them to just follow along in here in the frame rails, that sort of thing. You can see there, not a whole lot, not real dirty at all, but just kind of an extra way to get a little more of that out, just to make sure that it's good and clean. Might use a couple of them. The Sig MK25, I'll have to say that I've wanted this gun for quite some time, and finally broke down and bought one, and I really enjoy shooting it. Like I say, I have carried it. You know, there's a lot of people that think that it's a little large for a concealed carry firearm. It is a little heavier. Most of you all know that are watching this video, I typically will carry my Glock, but you know, this is a good gun and I really enjoy it. Really like getting it out to the range, having fun with it. You can see there some of the buildup that we have. You know, it didn't take hardly any wipes, hardly, just to get some of that off. Just rotate it around, get a little bit more of that off. You can get Q-tips for a little of nothing. You know, the big box costs you, well, just a couple dollars. That's another reason why I like using them. You know, very inexpensive. And I've had people before that have come to some of my classes that will take a kind of a hands-off approach on their guns. They'll, you know, look over them. They won't really do a good cleaning, or I've had some that talked about how clean they keep their guns and stuff like that. And you'd be surprised how many times I'd simply take a Q-tip, run inside the slide, just like that, and it would just be pitch black. And then they would usually change their tune pretty quick, you know. But that's just something that I would do occasionally, just to have a little fun with them. You know, that's what a lot of the classes are. I like to do, just have a little fun in there. If you're going to learn, might as well have fun doing it. You know, just wipe down inside here. We can see there a little more. We pulled up. Yep, I go through a lot of these Q-tips, but you know, it very quickly just cleans right out, just like that. You always want to make sure that none of the Q-tip comes apart, gets stuck anywhere in the firearm. Set that aside, pick the frame up again. You can see there, a little dirty. That brush really helps to break it loose, and then a Q-tip to just wipe it off. Yeah, I know it's not a difficult thing to do. If you let a gun go long enough, the longer you let it go, the harder it can be to clean. But you know, I typically don't let mine go very long before I clean them. You want to get just a little bit more down in there, and then come in here. Especially when you are getting around the hammer and the mechanism back here, the fire control mechanism, just make sure that the Q-tip does not come apart on you and get any pieces stuck down in there that can cause you a malfunction. And you can see there, we do have a little bit of buildup, nothing major, and nothing that will not clean out very easily. Alright, you can see there. We'll just get this clean. The ramp here, you can see there, I want to get that cleaned off real well. You don't want any kind of buildup there, cause you any malfunctions. You can see there how much buildup we get. Get down inside that magazine well just a little bit. Inspect it, make sure that you don't have any loose screws or missing pins or anything like that. You can see here, just inside this frame, how I'm picking up just a little bit more. And again, you don't always have to white glove them, but it's been a little bit since I cleaned this gun, but I haven't fired it a whole lot, but it's expensive, so we're here. Why not just take care of it while we're here? Down in there. You can use, I use paper towels a lot of times. You can use various cloths. Old t-shirts work great. But it's what I just happen to have handy. Now the barrel, of course, is where you're going to get the most buildup. And it's been setting for a little bit. Want to take my brush. You can see the brush there. This is just a standard kit that you can get. I'll put a link down in the description to where you can pick up a cleaning kit if you are in the market for one. They're a good investment. Yeah, and again, you do not want to use any kind of a steel brush. A good brass brush is fine. Run that through a couple times just to kind of help loosen that up. Something you can do, and I regularly do it, you do get a lot of the patch holders that come with most of your cleaning kits, but those things generally break. You know, over a period of time, they typically break. They won't last long at all, some of them, depending on what you're using it on. You can simply take a patch just like that. You can actually add a little bit of more of the solvent to it if you want, and just push it through this way, just like that. And I'm going to pull it back, and you'll see that that brush will hold on to it just fine. In fact, one of the things about it though, when you do this, you're basically locking a lot of that material onto that brush. It doesn't hurt them. I've got several that I have that are just covered with this. It'll have a little bit of the material on it. I haven't really had any issues with them. They still clean fine. Again, I can take another one, put on here. I can put a little more lubricant on it, a little more of the rim oil, solvent if I want, run it through. And it doesn't take too many times. You can see there we're pretty much clean. Just like that. Just once or twice. Set it down, get this up out of the way. And the guide rod, I typically will just wipe it off. I mean, it doesn't really need a lot done to it. You want to look on your spring to see if there's any kind of cracking or anything like that. Right now is a good time to replace it if necessary, but that's fine. This one is fine. You know, these things do eventually wear out, but you know, this one's still got quite a bit of life left in it. And again, as I'd mentioned earlier, since this is one that I am not going to be shooting anytime real soon, and this is just me, guys, the finish on these guns is terrific. It holds up forever. Well, I'm not going to say forever, but it holds up very well over a long period of time. And now that we've got the pretty much everything clean, I'm just going to take a little bit more of this, and since it is a solvent and an oil, also be used for lubrication, I'm just going to give the barrel just a little bit of a wipe, just like that. You know, maybe just a little more on it, a little bit back here, just wipe it a little. Now it's time to reassemble it. Simply set it in there. It's just reverse of taking it apart. I typically will put a thumb on the back of it and the thumb over top just to kind of help trap it. Make sure that you get that on the right notch or it's going to cause you problems. Okay? And take our frame. Again, I'm going to put just a little bit of a spritz on each of the rails, just like that. You can put a little down here if you want. Doesn't take much, just a little bit. And then we just reassemble it. Just the opposite of taking it apart. Slide back on the frame. lock it back, rotate the takedown lever, let the slide go forward, hammer's cocked, safe direction, press, just like that. Hold that trigger back, cycle that action back, release, listen for the reset. Okay, works fine. Double action works fine. Great gun. I really enjoy shooting this gun. It's a lot of fun. I just really enjoy it. And it's not a safe queen, but there are times that I'll get a gun out, I'll shoot it for a while, maybe even carry it for a while. And this one for now is going to be going up for a few days. And what I mean for a few days is literally just a few days. By this weekend I may have it out carrying it again. I don't really know. But just in case I don't, and this is just me, I know some of you guys may be going nuts right about now, but one thing that I do, if a gun is not going to be used for a while, even though my safe is in a dry location and all that, I will spray it down and just give it a wipe down and actually leave it just with a little bit of coating of oil. It is just me, guys. It's something you do not necessarily have to do. That's just everybody's thing. It's just the fact that these are expensive. Not just this gun in particular, but all guns are generally pretty expensive. I like taking care of things, and you know, if something that's you're gonna invest your money in, you might as well take care of it. So that's my philosophy on it. Don't overlook your magazines. Okay, that's something that often gets overlooked on a lot of firearms. You don't necessarily need to use any kind of a lubrication or anything like that on it. One like this, as well as a lot of others, you can actually take these apart and clean them. You see this button that is here on the bottom of it on the base plate. What you can do on a lot of them is depress that, slide that base plate forward slightly. Now, this magazine is fairly new, so it could be a little bit difficult to do. So I'm just using the tip of this brush. Okay, we got it loose. I was able to slide that forward a little, just a little, and then put your thumb over top of it, point it in a safe direction, because that spring is going to want out of there, and it's going to want out of there quick. Slide that on up, just like that. I'm going to set that base plate down, and then ease that spring out, just like that. There's our spring. Okay. Here is our follower. Take note of the direction that this come out. That way you can put it back in the same. Look over it just to make sure it's not cracked. Don't use any lubricants in your magazine. But what you want to do is simply look to see if you've got any kind of lint or buildup, anything like that in there. Once you get it wiped out, just inspect it to make sure there's no cracks or anything, any damage. And then just to reassemble it, it's just, you know, the opposite of disassembly. Take your follower, again, check it, make sure there's no cracks or anything like that. Put that follower back in place, let it fall the way up, just like that. Take that spring and base plate, slip it back into position, take your thumb, depress it down, again keep it pointed away from you, just in case for whatever reason it does come out of there. Take that base plate, and you'll see the sides of it here. Make sure that it gets caught on both of those the way that it's supposed to, and then just work that on back. Make sure you keep that depressed down to where it will be below that base plate, that way it doesn't hang. And once you get it to where that base plate is over top of that catch, it'll simply slide on back and snap into place just like that. Just give it a little tug. Take something, you know, depress it slightly just to make sure that it works. It works fine. You take a pencil, marker, and we have now cleaned our Sig P226 Mark 25. Great gun. Check out some of the other videos that I've did with it. Feels real good in the hand. Very good quality gun, carried by the Navy SEALs, law enforcement, that sort of thing. This of course is the Navy SEAL edition. You can see there. Love it, guys. But anyways, this was just a quick video that I wanted to do. on cleaning one of the Sig Sauer P226s, Mark 25s. Again, it's very similar on all these models. But guys, let me hear from you. What are your thoughts on these guns? Do you have a favorite Sig, or do you have a favorite gun in general? When you clean your guns, do you leave them just a little bit wet like I do these? Like I do mine? Love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out the link down in the description. I will put links to where you can pick up a couple of basic cleaning supplies if you need any. You know, that kind of stuff doesn't cost you anything, but it helps to go to support the channel, you know, through Amazon. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.